everyone. We are going to talk about colds, viruses, and sinus infections. Hi, welcome. This is the first episode of Dr. Divi TV that we're airing. I know some of you are watching live, which is super exciting for me. I'm going to explain the format of today's events and every week that we work together. And I'm so glad you're here. Whether you watch live or online, you're going to learn something in the next 10 to 30 minutes that we're together. And we're going to possibly do some meditations. We're going to do lots of fun stuff. So welcome. Let me give you an overview about what this TV channel is all about, because without the overview, you won't know what to expect week to week. Basically at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, every Wednesday afternoon, I will be airing a certain topic on what I'm calling Dr. Divi TV. Since you've already found this, you're going to find that in order to find the replays of this, you can either go to my YouTube channel, or the most recent week's events will actually stay on my website until the following week comes up. So this week we're actually having the topic of viruses, colds, and sinusitis. And each week I pick a topic that is seasonal. So it's January, it's a perfect seasonal topic. And for those of you who are watching live, you will be able to type in questions to me. And I actually have the ability on this computer next to me to see the questions that you're typing in. During each episode that I run of Dr. Divi TV, I will be giving you both the medical jargon answer, which a lot of you actually know, and then also the mental, emotional, spiritual, metaphysical explanation of an illness, plus emotional connections, meditations, affirmations, things that you can do to help you shift through this. Most of you know I'm trained as an MD and a practiced licensing physician here in British Columbia, Canada. And I'm also an intuitive, metaphysician, and a person who's a big believer in mental and emotional and spiritual harmony. As our mind, emotions, and spirit become in harmony, our physical body also becomes in harmony. For those of you who choose to watch these videos and take them in, I hope you can get something from them, and I hope as well to actually start to work with you possibly, either one-to-one or in some of my workshops that I teach. I love teaching because I believe that it's something that I have the gift of being able to give you, but also have the gift of being able to teach in a way that hopefully will impact you in a positive way. For those of you who know me personally, I believe in this work more than words can say. I believe our body and our illnesses are actually real gifts because they're part of our life process and path, and they're here to guide us on our journey. So with that in mind, let's begin. At this time of year, people traditionally say, I'm always getting sick. I've got colds, I've got viruses, I've got pneumonias, I've got sinusitis. And luckily, most of these infections that we get are viruses. They're usually things that antibiotics don't necessarily need. In the medical model, the traditional kind of rule of thumb is this. If you have a really, really high fever and or this is going on for a prolonged period of time of more than 7 to 10 days, or if there's some really awful symptoms that alarm you that this is bacterial, such as green, really icky, bloody sputum, or high fever like I mentioned, or razor blade throats, or severe blistering pain in your sinuses. This and others are real reasons that you would contact your MD prior to the 1 week mark. Most of these illnesses that we call colds and infections are viruses. I told you guys would know this early stuff that I'm talking about. Are viruses, and they typically run the duration of 7 to 10 days. And when people get viruses, it's really just about immune support. Fluids, rest, maybe some Tylenol, maybe some echinacea. There are some studies that show that echinacea, vitamins, vitamin C, even vitamin B, either through IV or orally, helps to boost the immune system to fight this cold or infection. In my experience, it really is individual. Some people respond like that from an IV therapy dose of vitamin C. For others, it does nothing. And for others, they do best with bed rest and nothing in the way of treatment. And yet others swear by things like cold effects. So you yourself will find and navigate when you have a cold what treatment measures or immune system measures help you the most. So with that in mind, colds, viruses, and sinusitis typically present with the symptoms you know. And you typically would see your physician or MD if the symptoms are worsening or not getting better. And treatment for viruses, as I said, is pretty much symptomatic and supportive. When people have bacterial infections, it's usually more sinister signs, like I said, like the high fever that's not going away, or they get wicked bad pain in their face from a sinus infection, or they have obvious pus on their tonsils to indicate a strep throat. And when you do the throat culture, which is a test we do as doctors, it shows us strep throat. So those and other symptoms can make us alarmed that this is more bacterial. And as you know, if that's the case, you usually end up on a course of antibiotics like penicillin or amoxicillin or azithromycin or something of that sort. For those of you who know me or don't, I'm also a huge believer that there's absolutely nothing right or wrong about medications. And in fact, in many cases, they help us to support us to get through whatever we're going through. And they give us a little bit of a break from the symptoms. In fact, they can be quite helpful and supportive in our healing process. But one of the reasons you're tuning into Dr. Divi TV is not to listen to the medical model of a cold, but most of you are out there here to listen to what I have to say about mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being when it comes to these illnesses. So I'm going to lump colds and viruses together, and then I'm going to separate out sinusitis and get to that in just a second. So colds and viruses in the mental and emotional model is usually thought that in our lives during that time we're taking on too much. There's many of us who akin the thought of getting sick to what's thought as the viral theory. That out there's all these bugs floating around and I just have to walk into the room and the bug lands on me and I'm going to get sick. But the fact of the matter is, you and I could walk into the same room of very sick people with colds and snot and coughing, but maybe we both won't get sick because we also have our own immune system. And our own immune system can actually release and remove whatever is going on if the immune system is strong enough. So our immune system is very individual and it really varies person to person. So as much as the theory of the virus or bacterial analogy out there is not right or wrong, but what it does is it puts us into victim mode. And if we're always in victim mode, then we can't fight anything. But when we think that we actually have something we can do about it, like boost our own immune system, then there's actually hope and possibility there within. So we're going to talk about boosting our immune system in just a few minutes. So typically, when viruses and colds are happening, people akin it to the time of year. So what I'm showing you right now is all of these belief systems that do not serve us. There's a belief system that in December, January, February, March, there's so many colds around. There's other belief systems that I walk into the room and all of a sudden I'm going to get sick. There's other belief systems that I can't touch this door handle because she touched it and she's coughing. There's other belief systems that I always get sick on March 1st. There's other belief systems that when my sick kids start school, everybody's going to get sick and so will I. A big pillar of the work I teach people is that a thought becomes a belief system and a belief system becomes reality. So if the belief system is not working for us, we can actually change it. So if a belief system like I walk into the room and I get a cold is happening, we want to shift that because likely that's not serving you. So a way to shift a simple belief system like that is by saying, there may be colds and viruses floating around, but my immune system is strong that it can curb these off. Or other people have a belief system, I never get sick. Or people have a belief system, I only got sick when I was in my teenage years, right? So the more you create new thoughts, what people call affirmations, it can change your belief systems, And then as a result, it can actually change and affect your reality. So looking at what your belief systems are related to colds and infections is a really key pillar to healing it. Another thing that we commonly see when people get colds and infections is often that they have too much going on. So metaphysical, emotional component regarding getting colds and viruses is too much stress going on, too much going on in our lives, almost like a feeling of overwhelmment. And there's directly a correlation between the busyness of Christmas that people get into and how overwhelmed a lot of people get with holiday shopping and gift giving and New Year's celebrations and family visiting and cooking, right? Because that's so task-oriented and so overwhelming that it can lead us feeling exhausted. And then that drops our immune system, and then there's a correlation with illness. So closer to the end of tonight's class that we're doing, I will be talking about meditations and specific things you do. But in the first little while, we're just going to kind of shine the flashlight on things that come into me intuitively and through my senses to teach you today. Another thing that often causes us to get colds and viruses is our own emotional makeup. Often when we feel stressed, possibly depressed, possibly emotionally overwhelmed, or possibly even angry or frustrated, our immune system will instantly drop. Somebody asked me the other day, how is that and why is that the case? It's really well studied in science, but very little of it is actually brought into the regular person literature. We've all heard of the concept of cortisol. Cortisol gets secreted when we're stressed. But the higher cortisol levels have a direct result in decreasing immune functioning of the body. So it decreases lymphocyte secretion, decreases leukotriene secretion. And when we have less of those, our immune system cannot function as well. And what I try to teach people is if this is your brain and this is your body down here, your brain to your body, there's what's called neural pathways that are formed. And these neural pathways are formed at a very young age. You look at the ages of 6 to 10 years of age, the majority of neural pathways are formed by then. It used to be thought that when you got older, your brain was set and it was structured and it couldn't be changed. But new science is showing us that new neural pathways can be formed. So when we're younger, we have neural pathways that are often trained or taught to us by well-meaning parents, society, and teachers. And if you think about it, many of us in these years, especially in today's day and age, have neural pathways that are trained into stress, overwhelmment, got to do this, frustration, anger, and less neural pathways of excitement and ease and joy. So if you're getting a lot of colds over and over and over again, lots of flus, lots of viruses, I would look at the stress nature of what your neural pathways are saying to you. What are they doing? Are you always feeling stressed? Are you always feeling exhausted? Are you always feeling overwhelmed? Well, that's because you have a neural pathway in your brain to your body that takes on 2, 3, 10 things, and your mind creates it as stress and overwhelmment, and then your body responds that way. But like I said, they are discovering that we actually can control this and actually can form new neural pathways. A little bit of work and a little bit of practice, we can do that. And that is the heart of what I teach people in my workshops. And when we have new neural pathways going, we can trigger more into excitement and joy and possibility and hope and optimism. The old ones will always be there and we'll always kind of use that as our pathway we go to when we're tired and all these other kinds of things. But the new ones can be started to form. So possibly having a cold or a virus can be one of your biggest gifts. One of the biggest gifts. Let's spend a few minutes talking about sinusitis, and then we'll talk a bit about meditations and affirmations in a minute. Sinusitis, as you know, are basically when infections occur this part of the body and this part of the body classically. And they occur as bad pain plus or minus fever, and it's like locked in there. It feels awful. The sinuses are relatively small cavities that when they get infected can cause a fair amount of pain. And if you're watching this, you probably know that. And sinusitis and the emotional, metaphysical, mental department are very much related to somebody else in our life. It's very much related to the irritation, annoyance, anger, and often feeling like we can control or do something about somebody else in our lives. And that feeling of feeling stuck or resistance creates this overwhelming sensation in our body, and it's thought that that leads to what's called sinusitis in the face. Got it? So now, more importantly, let's in the last 5 or 10 minutes talk about what you can do about it. Number one, I already talked about it. Look at your belief system around colds, viruses, sinusitis, infections, and start to rewire them, rewrite them. Start to look at what neural pathways do you go down very commonly. Last time you got sick, what were you feeling in the 4 to 6 weeks or even 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it? Were you feeling overwhelmed? Were you feeling depressed? Were you feeling stressed? Were you feeling like you don't have control over what somebody else is doing? All of these can lead us into a place of our immune system dropping and then getting whammed with these infections. So in the last part today, I would like to spend a few minutes with affirmations and meditations to help you move through this. I invite you, where you are, to dim your lights of the room that you're in. Of course, if you're driving, you're not going to dim the lights. If you're out for a walk, maybe find a bench to sit down on and close your eyes. And in the next part of the talk, we're actually going to move into a meditation. Close your eyes and begin to breathe in and out. Slowly and deeply and relaxed. In and out, low, slow flow. Big breath in and slow breath out. Inhale and exhale. Belly rises and belly falls. With your eyes closed, allow your body to relax and your body to be in ease. So there's a simplicity to this moment and an ease to your being. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Deep breath in, slow breath out. In this next part, I'm actually going to read the affirmations that many people have heard of the teacher Louise Hay, who wrote her Heal Your Life. And she says an affirmation for colds would be, I allow my mind to relax and be in peace. Clarity and harmony are within me and all around me. I allow my mind to be at peace. Clarity and harmony are within me and all around me. So take a few breaths in and out slowly as you hear that. I allow myself to be in peace. 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 And just breathe into those words, low and slow, relaxed and easy. Inhale and exhale. Belly rises and belly falls. For sinus infections, the affirmation she gives is, I choose to declare peace and harmony with all individuals around me. I surround myself with love and goodwill. I choose to declare peace and harmony with all those around me. So breathe slowly and deeply into these words as you settle into your body. These next few sentences may help you, especially when you're not feeling well. I am the center of my domain. I may be having a cold or a virus at this moment. It does not feel good, but I know that this is a gift. As you breathe in and out, low and slow, relaxed and easy. I know that this is guiding me, teaching me, and allowing me to move through this energy. I'm learning to roll with the world from a place of peace and ease. I am learning to shift emotions to a greater place of well-being. In this moment, despite the physical occurrences, I can feel good. So keeping my eyes closed, I will right now bring my attention to my heart center and start to feel good. Take slow, deliberate breaths in and long, deliberate breaths out. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice how there can be a calm in your system despite how you are feeling. And that is such a huge gift. When you allow yourself to find the calm in your system, that is where expansion and beauty lies. So I thank you for joining me on the first workshop of Dr. Divi TV. I'm going to make sure no one typed any questions. Nope, we're good. So I thank you again for joining me live or watching the YouTube version of this. My last little disclaimer I'm going to say as I wrap up this episode today. I work as an MD and I also work as a metaphysician, mind, body, spirit, coach, healer, all kinds of stuff, teacher, guide. Please take this advice as alternative medical advice. This is not meant to replace your physician's advice. And this video is copyright, so please, if you feel free to share this with people, feel free to. But the content of it is copyright. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next week as we jump into yet another topic. Have a great day. Ciao.